done this in a while. Okay. One night, me and my friends were... I already messed that up, huh? One night, me and my friend was talking about our different views on games and companies. We talked about Cyberpunk and the possible events that led to its catastrophic release. We then moved on to MatPat and our opinions on him and his channel. Then we talked about Easter eggs and the pure insanity of COD Zombies' Easter egg community. The last topic led us to the topic that we ended the night on, and that was Easter eggs in games that scared us. While we didn't have the exact same experiences, we did agree that Easter eggs can be some of the most evil things in video games. We passed around stories of finding Easter eggs that creeped us the hell out, and we even got down to explaining it a little bit. I figured this topic was interesting enough to make a video, so here we are. At some point during the conversation, I talked about what Easter eggs I thought creeped me out the most. And those were the ones that either implied there was something watching you, or ones that established an unknown presence. Think of how G-Man would watch Gordon Freeman throughout the events of Half-Life 2, or how Ulysses would do the same thing to the Courier throughout the Lonesome Road DLC. These Easter eggs aren't really the ones that creep me out though. Instead, I brought up the original Doom game. The Easter egg I'm talking about is found in the final boss of the game, dubbed the Icon of Sin. When fighting this boss, you can actually go through it using cheats and discover the decapitated head of id Software's co-founder John Romero. Again, this part of the Easter egg isn't that creepy on its own. What's creepy about it is that shooting and killing the head actually defeats the boss as well. That may not creep you out, but it creeps me out. It implies that the head was somehow connected to the boss. How? Why? What is it exactly? What can it do? It generates such a large number of questions that it creeps me out a little bit. Admittedly, that was one of the tamer Easter eggs we talked about, but there was another Easter egg that was 100 times eviler. That Easter egg, if you can even call it that, is found in a god simulation game called Black and White 2. Normally, when one of your people dies in the game, there will be a voice that whispers. However, if you play the game too late at night, something way more sinister happens. What happens instead is that the game will go through your computer files, find out your real name, and whisper that instead. I, from now on, will use this Easter egg as irrefutable proof as to why game devs are evil. We had this brief stint talking about screamers, where my friend brought up the Shadows of Evil Easter egg. The Easter egg was where, if you pointed your sniper scope at a certain part of the background, this face would pop up and scare you. After that conversation, we brought up fourth wall breaking Easter eggs. Hey, do you remember like 2 paragraphs ago where I said I talked about what Easter eggs I thought creeped me out the most? Well, the emphasis on the word thought was because this is the part of the conversation where I realized that fourth wall breaking Easter eggs were a whole new can of worms.
Raiden, turn the game console off right now.
What did you say?
The mission is a failure. Cut the power right now.
What's wrong with you?
Don't worry, it's a game. It's a game just like usual.
You'll ruin your eyes playing so close to the TV.
What are you talking about?
Raiden, something happened to me last Thursday when I was driving home. I had a couple of miles to go. I looked up and saw a glowing orange object in the sky, to the east. It was moving very irregularly. Suddenly, there was intense light all around me, and when I came to, I was home. What do you think happened to me?
Huh?
Fine, forget it.
This was one of the Easter eggs that really messed with me. It's found all throughout Metal Gear Solid 2, and until I started writing the script, I never knew this was a common occurrence throughout the game. Apparently, the Colonel calls Raiden multiple times throughout the game and breaks the fourth wall. However, when I first learned about this call, I thought it was an Easter egg, and for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna say that enhanced the creepiness of it for me. Everything about this call scares me. The sounds in the background, the glitchiness, and the fourth wall breaking just culminated into the creepiest thing I've ever seen in a Metal Gear Solid game ever. One of the Easter eggs I brought up was in the best Metal Gear Solid game there is, Metal Gear Solid 3. For those of you who don't know, something big about the Metal Gear franchise is the obsession to complete the game as a pacifist. In every game I've played, there's been some way to steer players towards playing the game as a pacifist. In Metal Gear Solid 5, there's the bonuses received at the end of missions for not killing anyone. In Metal Gear Solid 3, there's the making of lethal options more difficult to obtain. And there's probably something in Metal Gear Solid 2 that I'm forgetting. Well, whatever. What I didn't forget, however, was the other way that Metal Gear Solid 3 dissuaded players from the path of murder, and that is the River of Sorrow. The River of Death? The Sorrow River? It doesn't have an actual, whatever. I'm going with the River of Sorrow. The River of Sorrow was a pathway before one of the bosses in the game. What makes this river so scary to me is that while Snake is trudging through the waters, ghosts begin to appear and float around him. If you've played through this part of the game, you might not remember these ghosts at all, and that's because the amount of ghosts here is based on how many people you've killed up to this point. So, if you've been following the pacifist rule of thumb and kept your hands clean, then this walk would only be a few minute long monologue from the sorrow. If you've killed a ton of people, then you're going to be bombarded with the guilt of taking lives. When I played through this game, I tried my best not to kill anyone, but I must have slipped a few times because there was about 3 or 4 ghosts in my playthrough. I didn't fully comprehend what was going on at the time, but looking back afterwards, I was kinda creeped out. Either someone was tailing me, watching my every move or decision, or there was just some dude with weird powers that could spy on me whenever and wherever. Either option was pretty creepy to me. The next game I talked about was Doki Doki Literature Club. I realized that this video is already deviated from Easter eggs, but this video would be a lot shorter if I strictly adhered to the main subject. Plus, Doki Doki was one of the first games that really got to me, and it breaks the fourth wall a lot, so it gets a pass. So we all know about the first big scare in the game. It's where your character finds that Sayori has hung herself. The scare alone was enough to get me good. Really good. I was so shaken by this scare that I had to step away from my computer and leave my room completely. It was bad enough that the game would show a crash screen behind Sayori, but the music, glitchy screen, and the everything in general just made things worse. While I found it difficult to continue past this point, that didn't stop me from watching videos on the game after I got over it. Looking at videos dissecting the game, such as Tech Rules is ruining DDLC by revealing every programming trick and secret, showed me more about the other acts of the game that I skipped and the creepy little secrets within the game. For example, the way the game starts its third act, which is very reminiscent of the Black and White 2 Easter egg I talked about earlier this video. I'd probably botch something if I tried explaining it myself, so I'll just play a quick little clip from Tech Rules' videos to do it for me.
The game assigns itself a new anti-cheat number, and Act 3 begins. Act 3 consists entirely of the Just Monica portion of the game, where you spend the rest of your life talking to Monica. During this act, your text speed setting is ignored in favor of going quite literally as slow as possible, saving is disabled, the main menu button stops working, and we reach the final random scare. Well, okay, it's not random, the scare only triggers when the game detects recording software open on your PC. That being said, it only actually detects OBS and XSplit. What you might have missed is that if one of these are detected, Monica also skips over a little trick where she brings up the name of your user account if it's different from the name you're using in the game.
There's a lot more in this game to unpack than just that, so I suggest that you watch the video, no matter how creepy it gets. I don't know how to start this paragraph, so I'm just gonna say that I'm starting the conclusion paragraph now. I planned on having my friend pop in for a cameo and talk more in depth about his side of the conversation, but he took too long to write a script and start recording. And that is one of the many reasons as to why this video took so long to make. I started writing this script about a month or two ago, and I've only finished writing the script at the tail end of January. Hopefully I'm able to finish the recording and editing of this video not too far into February, or before January ends, hopefully. I might get lazy again and this video will just be pushed all the way back to September or something. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully you also find some of these things creepy and don't think I'm just a wimp now. Again, go watch the Tech Rules video and subscribe to their channel as well. I'll also direct you to Karsten Runquist. He also makes video essays. The only difference is that they're good and uploaded consistently. Bye.